Girl, that was so annoying. I was making a video and then my phone started ringing and ringing and ringing, and it just turned out to be some scam caller. But anyway, let's start this again. So I've heard about Britney Spears' breakup, divorce, and I feel an urge to talk about it. I don't usually get involved in people's personal lives or anything, but I feel like it's different with her just because I feel like there's some weird connections between us. Even though she clearly has, lost her mind. I think the relationship that she was in with Scary was really good, because they were kind of helping each other. I think a lot of people saw him more as a carer than an actual partner. And he definitely benefits a lot because he's got lots of publicity and work out of it, and he's raised his profile. She got stability out of it, which is something that she needs. I feel like she reminds me a bit like my sister, who you just needs a partner because she has no direction without that. And yeah, I don't know, but Britney Spears' mental condition, according to the posts that I'm reading on Instagram, and how she is, she's kind of lost her mind, and living with someone who's like that is very, very challenging. And I think it would be very unfair to blame this on Ascari. I mean, I feel like the wedding was a bit more of a um, for her, it was just a bit of stability, and for him, it was more publicity, and a higher status. When you marry someone, you become of higher status. The problem is if you marry someone and become of a higher status, you feel like you're now at a more equal level, which is good. But not if you have different intentions. I feel like he wants to go a completely different direction with his career. He wants to keep rising and keep doing things. I don't think he wants to be seen as just Britney Spears' carer. I don't think he wants to be seen as that, and I think a lot of people do see him in that way. Um, as for Britney, I think she does need some sort of carer, and I think anyone who does date her is going to have to recognize that she does have some sort of mental condition, with erratic mood swings, and I could see it. I mean, I don't know what's going on behind closed doors, but I can see her saying things that just are nonsense and aren't making sense. And some of the posts that she doesn't need to post naked on Instagram, and she is so. Um, she's not right, and I think anyone who dates her probably should never marry her, because as soon as they do marry her, they would feel like they want, I've got to her level now. I want more, and I think that's what is happening with him. I think he's feeling a bit knocked back by this. I'm married to this someone who's achieved so much, but at the same time she's also now completely crazy, and I'm just the husband of a crazy person. I don't many not many people would want to be the husband of a crazy person, um, but at the same time, so yeah, I think whatever relationship, I don't think she should get married again. But can you tell her that? No, because she'll probably not see it that way. But anyway, I don't know what to say other than I want the marriage. There was I watched a video where they said the marriage seemed fake and not real, and it does seem a bit fake and not real. I mean, Brittany apparently didn't know who was going to show up her own wedding. There's a clip of Ascari saying that he would love a big, big wedding, and yet they actually had a really small wedding. And yeah, I don't know, but um, if I if I had if I had a wedding in a Big Brother house, I don't know what it would be. I'm just trying to think of ideas. I like fantasizing about things, and right now I don't feel like there was a light that's shining from me in like July or June time, where I was kind of talking about the singers. I feel like that whatever that light is, it's less now. So I'm just kind of thinking about other things. But yeah, um, it would be kind of cool to have. I don't know if there's any prophecies in this sort of weird wedding that she had. And I mean, they were together for a long time. Although there's people are saying 6 years, and I don't think they were actually together for 6 years. Like, I swear for the first 3 years they were just like loosely dating, or I don't know, were they actually together for the whole 6 years? Um, I don't know. I'm seeing tons. I've seen some videos now that saying Elon Musk owns what's it, uh, Google. I don't believe that that's actually happened, because Google must be worth a fortune. And I can't believe that Twitter was worth 44 billion. I mean, apparently, Mark Zuckerberg bought Instagram for 1 billion. So why is Twitter worth 44 times more than that? I mean, to be honest, if I'm calling Twitter, full of twit, the second I get onto to TV and onto some, TV platform and say that Twitter, the name of Twitter branding would have probably just collapsed, or like if people believed that I was Christ and thought that. But so rebranding it's probably something you had to do. But yeah, I'm suspicious about what's going on because um, yeah, I don't know, but I don't believe that he's bought Google. But at the same time, it would be kind of a good facade. I mean, if you want to try and create some sort of one world male leader, some yeah, a world leader with a dick. I don't know. Elon Musk probably would be a good candidate for that because um, a lot of people are going to hate a world leader, but you need a world leader who's kind of charming and someone who's kind of a bit funny, but also a risk taker and also not going to scare people. And I don't know, he kind of fits the profile. It's very strange how I'm not seeing anything about Martin Dodd. It's like he just wants to be completely anonymous and he just wants nothing to do with everything. So it's making me wonder. Maybe he generally doesn't know. I know people found out about me, and I believe they found out about me through him because that was when I noticed the change in YouTube videos. Before the comments used to always be in order of who would post, so you'd have the nearest first, and then as soon as I told him, I noticed people started singing songs about me, and YouTube at that point changed. So I've got a theory that he was working with a group of people who knew about a female Christ, and he told them about me in March. And I guess they were told to just avoid me for a few months to see what happens. And then in July, I started believing that I was Christ and told him. And then that would have been his confirmation that I am actually Christ. And whatever reason of why he decided to ignore me, that was true, and I was the Christ. And but I don't know why I'm not seeing his name anywhere, why he doesn't want any seems of publicity. I mean, if he was Michael Jackson in his past life, I can understand why he doesn't want any publicity, because I think he had a pretty shitty life back. Well, he wasn't shitty, but fame destroyed him. But yeah, if he's still alive today, I don't know. So he might not even want to be on seen as a world stage, not even just to he might literally just want nothing to do with it. I mean, technically, I've gone through an absolutely shitty time, and if people really care about me, they'd probably want to hurt specifically someone like him, because he's kind of the main reason why I've gone through such an awful, most of my obsession for the first 5 years, I would say. Most of my session for the first 5 years was because he wasn't talking to me. And I was convinced that he was doing things about me behind my back. And I didn't care about other people, but I did care about him, which doesn't make any sense. But I don't know. If you like someone, say if you start dating someone and then that person just tells you of all the horrible things that their ex did, the new boys or the new guy that person is dating will probably want to hurt that person. And yeah, technically he didn't actually do anything, but by doing nothing, by ignoring me, despite me sending him messages like I was sending messages almost every day, sometimes, or 3 times a week or something. And so for him to not respond to any of that, but I've got a feeling he was watching them, but maybe he wasn't watching them. I don't know. I feel like I don't. I feel like they're embarrassing. I feel like I actually look like I'm under a spell when if I watch some of them back, I would be like, I look like I'm under some sort of spell. And yeah, and it's very. I don't want to watch it. I don't want to look at them. I don't care. But yeah, it's like my brain just stopped thinking about everything, and I just go into some weird. There were so many things that I wanted to talk to him about, and then as soon as I pressed the video to talk to him, it would just like that would all go out my memory. But yeah, um, I like this. I don't know where I got this from. On the sofa. But yeah, so I don't know. But thinking, I'm trying to predict of what might happen in the future, and I feel like the lights were shining really brightly in June, and it just seems to have gone down now. Um, it's like, so this sort of light in me that kind of connects to lots of things, but sometimes it's really bright and I connect with everything, and sometimes it just sort of fades away. And right now I feel like it's in a faded mood. And but yeah, it it would be cool to go on to Big Brother and do, you know how Britney had some sort of crappy wedding, like it was a nice wedding, very very flowery and stuff, but yeah, it would be kind of cool if I went on to like a second Big Brother, and because people want to be part of, like, there's loads of Christians that love the idea of being part of like the wedding ceremony of Christ. But yeah, so it would be kind of fun to reenact that. But and either have it as I'm dating like an AI robot who's like talking, have people behind a microphone talking, or it could be done to make it look like I'm marrying a bunch of idiots who are horrible, marrying a bunch of horrible people. Um, um, but yeah, I don't know. It's just it's all entertainment, so therefore you can do what you want. You know, I do notice that what's it in UK, Married at First Sight is going to be on for most of the UK Big Brother show. But yeah, I don't know, but I do like I would definitely do something like that. But I don't want to just marry just like an ordinary person. I want to marry some someone who's interesting, a group of people. A group of people sounds more interesting than just an individual. But yeah, technically, the point of it could be to just like piss off Christians, because they'll be like, "She's not Christ," and then why are you reenacting the ceremony of the wedding ceremony? A lot of people are looking forward to this wedding ceremony, and although I don't want all the guys dressed up in white. That white, where can you imagine that, me marrying a guy, a bunch of guys dressed up in white dresses? That that would be kind of funny, but yeah. Um, that's the idea about the Big Brother shows. You can do quite a lot of there's a lot of things that you can do that are just for entertainment, and it's fun. But you could also teach through it. I think the best way to teach is through entertainment, by making something look comical, but also having deeper meanings behind stuff. Um, and yeah, not too sure what else to say. Oh, I can say actually. I'm saying that I should make an agreement, a 7-year covenant with the Pope, to say from this point onwards, from the time we sign it, we'll have a 7-year covenant where if Jesus doesn't come back and prove that he is the real Christ, to everyone, that they'll sign the Catholic Church over to me for me to basically destroy it and turn it into something completely different. So I'd want that covenant. And I said that for the Protestant, they shouldn't do it with the Protestant, but you probably could do it with the Church of England. Another prophecy is that Babylon will have with kings, meet up with kings, and yeah, I could just meet up with the singers, but they're not technically kings, so it would be kind of cool if we could get the King Charles in there, and get him to also sign an agreement saying that he'll sign the Protestant or the English Church over, and the Scottish maybe as well, over to me within 7 years. He'd probably actually be more willing to do it. I don't know about the Pope. I mean, the Pope would, I don't know. Me and the Pope are very, very different people. So I don't know if he would probably be less willing. I think the King Charles would probably definitely go for it. But I don't know. That's an idea. Just I think the idea is that the idea is actually, if people believe in Christianity and are waiting for Jesus to come, by threatening Jesus and saying, we're going to take your church away from you. We're going to shut down your church and take it away from you and give it to Anna within 7 years, unless you come back and prove that you're real. Some people might see that as the kings or popes challenging God. What, you don't think I'm real, and you're threatening to shut the church down and take all power away from the church and give it to this blonde girl. Why? Because you're trying to challenge God. People might see it like that, but technically that's how people should see it. I mean, if something's real, it should be tested. If people all over the world are waiting for the return of Jesus, and people are just giving up, well, the best way to give up is saying, you know what, unless you come down and prove to us that you're real, I'm going to shut your church down. And I didn't think the Protestant church had that much power, because technically the Protestant church is all over the place. It's run by lots of different people. Just because one denomination says that doesn't mean all of them do. But Prince Charles has a sort of, he's like the general of the English church. So he does actually have an actual body of churches. And likewise, the Pope also has, well, he has a larger audience. So the Pope, I guess, would be the bigger target, because he's like the whole Catholic. He's got all the Catholic churches kind of under his rule. So yeah, the Pope would be a better person to make this arrangement with, but I could also make the arrangement with King Charles if he wants to agree to hand me over the English Church and make me the head. You know, I don't want to be the head of England, because I don't really want to live here. I mean, it's a very pretty place in places, but it's just too cold in the winter. Although in the future, actually, that's actually probably how the world will work. If their poverty was ended, and that all places became, much more equal, like all places all over the world became nicer, you probably could have things like world visas where you could just live wherever you want. But you can't do that now, because too many people would just rush to the nice areas and make them not nice areas. Not nice areas are not nice areas because people don't follow rules when it comes to paying tax, or don't follow rules when it comes to making houses at a high standard, or building regulations. A lot of places don't have building regulations, and if you invite too many people to places that do have building regulations, they'll just find ways of working around the building regulations, and building not nice buildings. So you can't have too many people in. But if the world, an ideal world would be that there would be no borders or anything. There'd be something, a huge disaster would need to happen for that to happen. But if the world was just, just okay, there'll be a mixture of smart and dumb all over the world. But if everyone accepted that rules needed to be obeyed, because this is just how society functions, and if houses need to be safe and up to scratch, up to regulation, and ideally the ideal world would be that when winter comes and England gets too cold, people do just have a second house in a hot country. I do love the idea of living in America, but it's not as pretty. There's not as much greenery. LA, there was no gardens, and it is hard to have a garden in LA because there's not that much water. Um, so it would be probably, most people would probably want, but in the winter it's just awful because gas and electric is very expensive, and when you're heating it up to some high degree, it's. But I think the ideal house would be that you have two locations to live, one during the summer months and one during the winter months. I think that's how I would have it in the long term. And that's the problem with schoolings as well. You have 3 months, 3 terms, and technically it doesn't always, like if you were to live on one side of the world at one term, there should be a system where you can live in England during the summer and live in America during the winter, and that's effectively why that would actually be quite a good idea. But you can't, because of the heat, well, because of the heating, but you can't because of schooling systems and stuff. Like you need to be able to follow the same curricula from one side of the globe to the other. But I don't know, in an ideal world, um, people should be able to live wherever they want, but there's just too many people for that to happen. But anyway.